Hi, we're at the Farm Animal Society again at Synod Farms at just the right time. A main motion is on the floor, and the animals have been in discussion. Some animals spoke in favor of the motion, and a few spoke against. Oh, look, here comes Duck. Do you know what he just said? Moving the previous question is a fancy way to say, let's stop talking and take the vote. If you, like Duck, sense that everyone in the assembly is ready to make a decision, you can move the assembly to an immediate vote. Moving the previous question closes the debate on the immediately pending question and prevents anyone from making any other subsidiary motions other than lay on the table, which is higher in rank. Sometimes you'll hear someone move the previous question using different languaging. A couple other non standard ways to propose this same action include I call the question, or sometimes someone will simply say call. The more formal the meeting, however, the more formal the recommended language. You can never go wrong with I move the previous question. So you may just want to commit that to memory. When someone calls the question, it requires a second. A second immediately prompts the assembly to vote on the official end to any more debate on the motion. If you vote in favor of calling the question, that means you are ready to vote on the main motion. If you are opposed to calling the question, you want discussion on the main motion to continue to be open because you are not ready to vote on the main motion just yet. If the motion to move the previous question passes by a 2/3 vote or more, the chair will immediately end discussion and begin the vote on the main motion. Here are some common questions about calling the question. Why does it take so many of us, 2/3 of us, in fact, to agree to end discussion and take the vote? When you are moving the previous question, you are saying that you would like to place a stop on discussion. Stopping the discussion is limiting or preventing another person's right to speak to the issue. Whenever a motion limits members' rights in this way, Robert's Rules of Order always requires a 2/3 vote, more than just a simple majority, as a protective measure. What if there is a main motion on the floor, a member has moved to amend it, and then another member calls the question? What are we voting on? I move the previous question as an unqualified statement, meaning no further specifications were made, applies only to the immediately pending question. So, whichever piece of business is most immediately on top, that's what it's applying to. In this case, calling the question would bring the amendment to a vote, not the main motion, since the amendment must be settled before the members would vote on the main motion. I get so tired of hearing Duck talk. He just goes on and on and on. Can I interrupt Duck and call the question? I'm sorry. I know that Duck does go on and on, but as a voting member, he has every right to speak without interruption. So you cannot interrupt him and call the question. That would be out of order. What if no one calls the question? Will debate just go on and on and on? An attentive chairman is the key here. If voting members are still speaking to both sides of an issue, then debate may continue for as long as that seems necessary. If voting members are predominantly speaking for one side or another, then the chairman may call for the vote because no one is speaking on the opposing side. If there is a voting member that calls the question, but no one is stepping up to second, the chairman may ask if there is a second from the assembly, and any voting member can second this motion. Alternatively, before a second, a chair may ask the assembly if there are any objections, looking for consensus, and then hearing and seeing nothing, the chair may proceed with taking the vote. All in all, look to your chairman. The chairman is the person who helps orchestrate bringing about the votes. What if I call the question and someone disagrees with me? I don't like fighting. Well, disagreements happen. You can't prevent that, but you can prevent bad behavior. In this case, someone can show their disagreement in a vote against moving the previous question, but what they can't do is go to the microphone and debate it with you, because this motion is not debatable. So if you do disagree when someone calls the question, save your breath and use that energy to vote. Remember, though, as long as 2/3 of the voting members vote for moving the previous question, the motion passes and the vote on the pending item of business will begin. Moving the previous question is really helpful to keep the business of an assembly rolling. Just be careful not to step on too many toes racing to the microphone to call the question before everybody's clearly ready for discussion to end. That's not being helpful or kind to your fellow voting members, and it won't allow the best work to get done. Now, let's vote, everyone!